Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Karting DD2 International Raceway here in Marienburg in Belgium. We're here for day 2 of the second round of the BNL Karting Series season for 2026, and after today, we will have hit the halfway point of the season, and after that, we'll have 2 more rounds to go. We'll be heading to the latter part of June, heading back to Karting Genk, the home of champions, and then the 3rd and the 4th of October, once again to that part of Belgium in the Limburg region. But here in the Corvan region, just around about a 25-minute drive from the French border, this particular circuit has seen a who's who of drivers that have made it through into the ranks of Formula One, including Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, the Flying Finns in the form of Heikki Kovalainen, and the man that won the 2007 Formula One Drivers' World title, the last one that has been secured by a Ferrari driver, Kimi Räikkönen. Max Verstappen has also raced here through his early days in karting, and also another name you might know of, Tonio Liuzzi, who these days is more into the driver coaching side of things. We had a great first day of action yesterday on Saturday, but it's time to restart everything for day number 2. It gives the drivers a second bite of the cherry, so to speak. But before we go trackside, let's give you a rundown of the circuit here at Karting DD2. So this circuit has been around since the mid-1980s and has hosted many an international and European championship event. Its blend of fast sweeping corners and technicality really puts the drivers on notice, with only a slight chance to breathe going down the start-finish straight out of the final chicane. Places for overtaking include Escargot and Chemin de Fer in the second sector of the lap itself. It provides close pack racing and spectacular overtaking at the same time. So the circuit itself, located in the Corvan region of Belgium, is clockwise in direction. The circuit itself measures 1,366 metres, the second longest on our calendar this year, with a total of 3 sectors for the drivers to negotiate 14 turns in total. So we now turn our attention to our mini and mini rookie divisions. And there we see a couple of the KR Sport drivers with the likes of Josh Cook in the 175, and with the Alice in Wonderland themed race helmet, Maria Roberto in the 152, proudly sporting the Italian tricolore on her race suit. Air temperature around about 8 to 9 degrees centigrade. We have had a little bit of low-lying mist this morning, which meant that morning warm-up was cancelled, so the drivers would go straight into time qualifying. There is Milo de Karsmaker, one of the drivers from Dams Racing, who will be starting on the inside of row number 9. As we are fast approaching 11:15 local time here this morning. So, for all the respective classes, we will have a qualifying heat, then a pre-final, and then the final later on. Yesterday, it was Ryan Rampadanath that took pole position in terms of the mini rookie side of things. And in terms of the mini rookies, the qualifying session itself saw Jayan Prakash from the UK for Sam Pollitt Racing putting it on 7th. However, there's been a slight change in the qualifying order following on from time qualifying this morning. Zayn Safoglu, the youngster from Turkey, in the number 54, running under the Strawberry Racing awning, and also supported by Borusan Automotive Motorsport, who do run in do support a multitude of drivers. And also back in the day, Berkay Besler used to run with Bouvin Power back in the senior Rotax division, and then went on to race with the Borusan Automotive outfit, who have the bright blue colours. As you can see, you can't exactly miss Zane's kart. Turning 7 this year. Bit of a superstar this young man is on Instagram. Proudly sporting the Turkish flag on the left shoulder. And has been doing a lot of cool stuff on Instagram, including doing donuts in a €500,000 spec Rolls-Royce Spectre, which is a fully electric vehicle. And for that young man to have the skill set to do that, that is incredibly impressive. And, mon ami Guillaume Alvarez is watching along. Hope you had a good time in Franciacorta this weekend. And yes, there is plenty of sunshine. Lot of rainfall last night at around about 1 o'clock in the morning. But the times that we saw in qualifying for the Mini Rookies and the Mini Max division, quite a lot faster than yesterday. But Josh Cook has secured his 3rd pole position of the season so far. Right, time to get down to business with the 7 minutes plus an additional lap qualifying heat. Here is your starting grid. Josh Cook lines up on pole position with Sam Pollitt Racing's Austin Oman alongside on the front row. Maria Roberto and Dean Habits round out row number 2. Ahead of Teddy Murphy and Malte Holm that round out row 3. Row 4, Arthur Farrow and Charlie Page. Ryan Townsend and Ryan Rampadanath round out the top 10. It's an all-mini rookie, row 6, with Zain Sufuoglu and Jayan Prakash. Riders Zeong and August Lingzo round out row 7, ahead of Arthur Bowers and Evert van Middendorp from the Netherlands in the number 4. Meneer de Kousmaker, Henry Moyat, Arda Biljanov, Maxime Bal, Kai Suri, Chloe Malling Sorensen, and Arlo Gamble rounding out your grid. So, unfortunately for Arlo Gamble, technical non-conformity for the number 72 for Sam Pollitt Racing meant exclusion from the session. Arthur Farrow had a 3-place grid drop due to the front bumper being in. And for Arlo Gamble, that the clutch was not within the regulations reference minimum size. Hence the number 72 being excluded. Now, Arda Biljanov in the number 171 has not made it to the rolling start. So the drivers making their way through out of turn number 11, through into turn 12. And it was Dejan Habits that took the win in the qualifying heat yesterday in Mini Rookie. It was Henry Moyot that rounded out the top 10 in the number 18. But it is Cook and Oman on the front row of the grid. We are set and ready for the first race here on Sunday. Revs are up, lights are red, we are underway and racing. And it's 3 wide, Maria Roberto trying to go through into the race lead, but Joshua Cook gets the whole shot he needed. Roberto up to P2. Austin Oman hung out to dry a little bit by the likes of Teddy Murphy, who I think is just trying to go for second position. Dives up the insides as the 177, but Roberto holds her ground into turn 4, wheel to wheel. Oman is right at the back of this, along with Charlie Page, who's absolutely shot up the order. Page runs wide coming through out of 5, but manages to gather it back up again. But Maria Roberto, what a solid, stern approach by the youngster in the 152. But Joshua Cook is making a big, big gap early doors as Austin Amman looks to the inside at turn 12 on the 152. Up the hill we go to complete the opening lap. The lead by Joshua Cook is mammoth. 1.3 seconds by the end of the opening tour of this 1,366 metre circuit. Amman looking for the move up the inside of Roberto. Here goes Teddy Murphy. And then just behind, that's Rayan Townsend in the 110. Roberto's teammates rounding out the top 5. Townsend looking to go through at turn 4 and has made the move. Looks like Bilyanov not taking any part in this race as a dive from the inside. That was the 1-2-4 of Arthur Ferro, slightly clipping the right rear of Charlie Page into Chemin de Fer. And Malte Holm has dropped down the order. Ryder Zeong, the Australian driver, moving very quickly through the opening sector. Dayan Habits trying to get through. That's on Charlie Page. Page gets the over-under and gets the side draft from the Belgian and gets back through. Dayan Habits gets a warning flag from race control. But the opening 2 laps have seen some great racing from our youngest drivers on the grid here this weekend. Nearly 100 drivers from around close to 15 different nationalities. And Josh Cook has cleared off. He's trying to check out early. Down into Chemin de Fer go our drivers in 2nd to 5th, rounded out by Maria Roberto in the 152, led by Austin Amman in the 121. Through out of Escargot, and that gap from Josh Cook is absolutely extending. He just put in the fastest lap of the race last time round. Can Josh Cook dip under 60 seconds on pure race pace? We're just about to find out. They cross the line. 1.7 seconds is the advantage that Cook has, and no one seems to have the pace to match him. That is incredible stuff from the 175. He is just concentrating on his race. Rayan Townsend now responds with the fastest lap of the race. 6 1,000ths quicker than Cook with a 59.837. Rayan Townsend looking for a move on Teddy Murphy for P3. Nearly got the opportunity to dive up the inside coming out of Chemin de Fer. Through into Escargot. We are at lap 4. But the way things are going, Josh Cook, 19.4 on the opening sector, a sub 19.4 in sector 2. Mr. Cook is definitely firing on all 125 cc's of cubic displacement on that Rotax Evo engine to his right-hand side. And his lead is now nearly 2 seconds. Fastest lap of the race now in the hands of Dayan Habits, who has tumbled down from 4th at the start to 8th behind August Licovolingzo. So the field makes its way through into turn 4, through turn 5, and now into turn 6 and 7 here at Chemin de Fer. But Josh Cook on the opening intermediate sector, he's just put the gaps now up to 2.1 seconds. And Cook was quickest of anybody in this race so far in the opening sector. 19.382 seconds for the 175 from KR Sport. No one at this moment in time, apart from Austin Amman, who won the final yesterday, has been close or close enough to the 175. Murphy was thinking about a move on Amman into turn 1. I've said that maybe, well, I better not go for the move there, because one of the things I don't want to do is have an altercation with my teammates. However, with just 90 seconds on the clock to go, Josh Cook has opened up the gap to 2.3 seconds, and that is climbing steadily just by the sheer pace that the 175 from KR Sport has got underneath that wagon. He's definitely got some waft. There's Josh Cook. Dean Habits gets through on August Liquibolingzo for P6. Habits just sets the fastest middle sector of the race. Coming up to a minute to go. It is going to be close for Josh Cook. And it's going to put us on to 2 laps to go. Here comes Rayan Townsend to the inside. Sweeps through on Teddy Murphy. But Murphy trying to counter-attack through into turn 2. And Josh Cook, another new fastest lap of the race. 59.490. But great move there by Rayan Townsend to get through on Teddy Murphy for P3. Can Maria Roberto do something in the same ilk as such as we head down to Chemin de Fer once again? Lead gap now 2.8 seconds. It seems to be that Josh Cook has definitely got the wind beneath his side pods at the minute, but Roberto putting the pressure on Murphy for 4th position. Oh, moment and a mistake through turn 11. Rayan Townsend losing the back end. It was all over the place for the 110. So that means that Murphy back up to P3. Roberto now 4th. And Townsend having to fight with D and Habits. Last lap underway. And Josh Cook has got the hammer down. And he is not stopping for anybody. Meantime, Townsend versus Habits. And now they've got Liquibolingzo from Denmark right behind. Strength in numbers, they do say. As the two from Dams Racing trying to get through. Townsend defends into Chemin de Fer at turn 6. But Josh Cook has once again showcased that he is the driver that everyone's got to beat on track. So it is going to be the run through the final corner. Josh Cook making his way to the checkered flag. It is another win for this dominant force in the Minimax division. He takes the win. It's going to be more than 3 seconds. The winning margin 3.2. Austin Amon, Teddy Murphy, Maria Roberto and Rayan Townsend round out your top 5. Dean Habits 6 ahead of August Liquibolingzo. Malte Holm, Charlie Page, Arthur Farrow rounding out the top 10. Zain Sufuoglu, the youngster from Turkey, wins in Mini Rookie, places 11th ahead of Arthur Bowers and Arlo Gamble, who started from the back of the field and ended up 13th. Ryan Rampadadath, Ryder Jiong round out your top 15 ahead of Kai Suri, Maxime Ball, Henry Meyer, Mila de Kousmaker, Chloe Malling Sorensen, Jayan Prakash and Evert van Middendorp, finishing as the last classified driver across the line, with Arda Bilyanov unfortunately not taking to the start of that one. So from Mini and Mini Rookie, we head to DD2 and DD2 Masters. After yesterday's final, there was a change in the results that Ralph van der Parvert took the victory after Len Nyes was given a post-race 10-second penalty for having been deemed in the eyes of the stewards to have caused a collision. That was the incident between himself and Jort van Wijk, who ended up finishing in 9th position. Theo Lemoine also got a penalty in the final yesterday, but Ralph van der Parvert took the win overall. Christophe Capitan finished in P2, ahead of Pepin Riedman and Jim Ringelberg, with Yannick Jacobs rounding out the top 5. So also have to say greetings to the Kraft Motorsport band that are over in Wackersdorf at the moment. So greetings from our side over here in Belgium. There is Len Nyes, the man from Shepherd's Racing Service BV. So we are set and ready for their qualifying heats. So let's take you through the starting order. Pole position goes the way today, not of Jort van Wijk, but of Ralph van der Parvert. Len Nyes will line up alongside on the front row. Jort van Wijk and Jim Ringelberg will line up on row 2. Theo Lang and Theo Lemoine rounding out the top 3 rows, with Pepin Riedman, Yannick Jacobs, Christophe Capitan and Nicolas Guillaume. Guillaume, unfortunately, not setting a lap time in qualifying. So we'll start from the back of the field. So for all qualifying heats today, it will be 7 minutes plus an additional lap. All pre-finals will be 10 minutes plus an additional lap. For Mini Rookie and Juniors, the finals will be over a duration of 12 minutes plus an additional lap. And the other categories for their finals will be 15 minutes plus an additional lap. So the drivers will now head into the final sector. Here at Karting d'Espagne International Raceway, there's also been a circuit that we visited in years past. Also, the Rotax Max Euro Trophy for a few seasons did also head to this region of Belgium. It's a lovely part of the world. It kind of reminds me of home, in just off the Essex and Suffolk border. But these drivers with the Rotax Max Evo 125cc engines to their right-hand side, mated not with a direct drive system where a chain and a sprocket would be. It's a 2-speed gearbox. So the drivers will now head into the tram lines. It's revs up, lights on. We are racing for 7 minutes, and it's the Drag Race 2 T1. Len Nyes with an absolute catapult start. Tries to go around the outside of Ralph van der Parvert, but he has to slot in behind Jort van Wijk, who's got him through for P2. Out of turn 3 for the first time. Then it's the short shoot down to turn number 4. Van der Parvert leads the way. Looks like Christophe Capitan has ended up a little bit further back. He's currently down in 10th position. It's going to be 10th position. It looks like, hang on, Nicolas Guillaume, I don't think is actually in this race at the moment, so might be saving the cart and the machinery for later on here on race day. But after the opening lap, it is Ralph van der Parvert leading the way, ahead of teammate Jort van Wijk, who now dives to the inside line into turn 1, gets through, neatly facilitated by both drivers. van der Pavet, giving Jort van Wyk enough room to get through. There's Len Nyes waiting for his chance to get a move done on one of the two in front of him. Now into turn 4. So a couple of minutes away from half-time in this 7-minute plus an additional lap qualifying heat. And Len Nyes, neat move to the inside, final part of escargot. Millimetres to spare. The 417 gets through on Ralph van der Pavet for P2. Now van der Pavet has his countryman and Masters competitor Jim Ringelberg not that far behind him. Coming up to just under 5 minutes to go. Van Wyk leading the way. And a very good, well, wherever you are at the moment, Merman Benemore, if you're in Germany, good afternoon. So thank you so much to everyone that has been watching the live stream. And we have got it to a point where it is watchable. A big thank you to the team at WFR Live TV for arranging that and getting that sorted out, them being our official streaming partners. So Jort van Wyk trying to pull a gap. Len Nyes closing in on him. Might get the slipstream here in towards T1. Across the line they go, as we have just over 4 minutes remaining on the timer. And at this point in time, Jort van Wyk has a slender lead. It was 82 thousandths of a second after 3 laps of racing. Ralph van der Pavet in P3, new fastest lap of the race, 54.517 for Ralph, the elder brother of Mika van der Pavet, who has competed in DD2 before. Also saw Mika at the SP Motorsport awning yesterday, helping behind the scenes. So we are halfway through this race. Len Nyes for the lead through at turn 12. A little catch of bumpers between Van Wyk and teammate van der Pavet. And Van Wyk managing to return the favour to Len Nyes through at T1 to retake the lead. Van Wyk leading the field out of turn 4 through into turn 6 and 7. Look how hard they're bumping over the curbs. Going through into escargot, and Jim Ringelberg is not letting this top 3 get away. Jim Ringelberg doing a stellar job in the 547 entry. And Bevin Riedman is closing in at the same time in the 481 from the Netherlands. So it looks like Jacobs and Daniel Prost to be more than likely struggling with a little bit of top speed out of the engines that they have got with them this weekend. With just under 2 minutes to go, Jort van Wyk is starting to put his stamp of authority on this race, but Len Nyes has also been a very credible individual when it comes to putting down those quali-style laps. Len Nyes has just had the 2 SP Motorsports carts go through on him at lap on turn 12 as we go on to lap 8. So Van Wyk went through, Van der Pavet went through, Ringelberg nearly had a shot. But the chess games continue here in this second of 4 qualifying heats. We'll have juniors and then seniors before we go to the official lunch break here at Karting d'Espagne. But Van der Pava has got to make that 468 SP Motorsport Kart Republic chassis wider than on the rear than an articulated 18-wheeler lorry. So we're going to have 2 laps to go. And Van Wyk leads the way ahead of Van der Pava. Gap between them just under 0.33 of a second. Then Nyes, further 10th and a bit behind the 468. So all 9 drivers that opted to start the race. Nico Guillaume. As I said, well, if there's a situation I'm not 100% aware or apparent of it, the timer has run out. So last lap is going to be underway this time. Bit of a cat and mouse game on this final lap between the top 3. Who decides to do a Danny Rick lick the stamp and send it on the well, for you fans watching home, to try and give you all a bit of a show. But once again, close racing all the way through the field, and down to Christophe Capitan, who according to my live timing is stone dead last. So his lap time last round was nearly but up the hill we go for the final time. It is going to be an SP Motorsport 1-2, and it is going to be our 2 drivers in that particular fold, which is Jort van Wyk, Ralf van der Povet, Len Nyes ends up P3. Jim Ringelberg takes the win in Masters once again in the 547. After Christophe Capitan took a good haul of points, edging the gap closer in the championship standings. Theo Lemoigne, then Yannick Jacobs, Pepin Riedman, Theo Lang, Christophe Capitan, the last of the classified finishers in that one. And unfortunately, Nicolas Guillaume not taking to the start on this particular occasion. So we now turn our attention to the junior Rotax division, and there is on the centre of your screens the 267 of Strawberry Racing's Kai Clark, who took pole position this morning in timed qualifying. And it was a very, very close affair. The top three rounded out by Finley Lines, who is just behind Kai in shots in the 281 KR Sport entry. They were covered by just 81 thousandths of a second. I have also been informed that Dion Braca in the 261 has officially withdrawn from the event following a potential sustained injury in yesterday's racing. So here is your starting grid. 32 juniors, Kai Clark and Rades Pascu round out the front row of the grid, ahead of Finley Lines and Lieke van Berkel on row 2. Albie Friend and Klaus Hans row 3. Tren van Melk and Pole City yesterday, Kian Bernard round out the top 4 rows, with Loris Perron-Mousset and Leon Herbos rounding out the top 10. Matthias Verdaken, Sebastian Clark round out row 6, ahead of Luan Seidel and Finn Albert Jorgensen. Bruce Rambo joined on the next row by Jensen Chalk, with Didi Dadali alongside Riley Morrow on the next row. After that, it's Lucian Smith, Harry Taylor, Justin Fonk, Nathan Lecure, Augustin Hennique, Anton Halschild Christensen, Max Bogsal, Georges Desmay, Louis Radcliffe, Thibaut Mercier, Yanis Courage, Yilan Vandenberger, Charlie Kitely, and Lionel Munguia. Munguia not having a good run in qualifying, and only set effectively a lap time that was a lot slower than everybody else. Okay, so 32 drivers set to go into battle for 7 minutes plus an additional lap. It's the United Kingdom and Switzerland on the front row, along with it being Strawberry Racing and Dan Holland Racing. Then it's KR Sport with Finley Lines and SP Motorsport with the very fast young lady in the form of Lieke van Berkel in the 285. So now it is the case of the red lights are on the starting gantry. Plumes of smoke from the exhausts on all the 32 karts as we are set and ready for racing action for the first of 3 races for the Junior Rotax division here at Marienborg here on day 2. It's revs up, lights on, and do we go green? No, we don't. First full start of the meeting. So proceedings overlooked by series race director Manuel Branco and his crew. So not happy with the way that the start was going to continue, and decided, well, let's use discretion as the better part of valor and send them around for another formation lap. And there are a few more clouds circling around the circuit, considering the fact we had blue skies and sunshine beaming down onto the circuit here at Marienborg for time qualifying. There's the Redeka Kart Racing Team number 209, Lionel Munguia, who I had a chat with on Friday when I arrived, and I said, oh, congratulations on getting the Driver of the Day award at the second round of the United Karting Series, which, funnily enough, took place 1 week ago here at Marienborg. So the drivers now going through into Escargot. So if you are wanting the live timing link, it is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat on the official BNL Karting Series YouTube channel. So top 10, Kai Clark, Radis Pascu, Finley Lines, Lieke van Berkel, Albert Friend, Klaus Hans, Trent van Melk, Kian Barnard, Loris Perron-Mousset and Leon Herbos. Right, full start lights have been extinguished as the 4 red lights are on the gantry here at Karting Defagne International Raceway. And will we, for the second time of asking, this time get a good start and go to green for 7 minutes plus an additional lap? It's revs up, lights on, and we go green for 7 minutes. It's a run down to the first corner. Finley Lines looking to the inside early doors. Ranis Pascu trying to keep it around the outside of the 281. But Finley Lines gets his nose ahead. Lieke van Berkel up the inside of the Swiss driver in the 235 through into turn 2. Manages to get through by 3. So Ranis Pascu, as here comes Albert Friend to the inside. And that was a brave, bold move by the 219 for Dan Holland Racing. Means that he is now up into P5 thereof. Now he's chasing down Radis Pascu, his teammate. Kai Clark leads the field coming in out of Escargot. There's Albie Friend with his traditional Dennis the Menace style liveried race helmet. As Clark leads us over the line to complete the opening lap. Finley Lines right on his rear bumper. And here goes Pascu through on Van Berkel. Here comes Albert Friend with a big rate of speed into turn 2. And he manages to get through as well. Nips it in the bud quickly out of the apex of turn 2. Albert Friend now up to 4th and charging forward. Louis Radcliffe for Sam Pollitt Racing up from 27th, now 17th. Being followed by Yanis Gourage in the number 272, who's also made up 11 spots as well. Yanis Gourage for the Lehouk Racing Team, the team owned and operated by Arthur Lehouk, who's still, at his young tender years, still likes to get behind the wheel of a shifter cart to go racing. Lap 2, and the gap is pretty much what it was last time around. Finley Lines is waiting for his opportunity, but he's between a rock and a hard place at the moment. It's the 281. The son of TCR UK promoters Stuart and Nicky Lines. Nicky here in person, but a dive up the inside by Radis Pascu, who nearly forces Lines off the track. Lines gets through by a whisker at turn 4. And that has allowed Albert Friend to close on in. Kai Clark has now got a bit of daylight between himself and the 281 from KR Sports. And oh dear, a limping 250. That is a kart that has got a Nassau panel askew. And unfortunately, Bruce Ramboa has just limped away from the scene of the incident. And there is another kart off. I've just spotted at the outskirts of turn number 2. And that is a big development. Finn Albert Jorgensen is out of the race. Now the elbows are out at the sharp end of the field from second onwards. Oh dear. And that is not... Now, that is Bruce Ramboa clutching the left arm. So obviously that might have meant that the kart might have gone over. So Didi Dulla and Justin Fonk have dropped down the order. Charlie Kitely down in the 264 is running 31st at the minute. So Finn Albert Jorgensen, our first retiree from the junior Rotax ranks in this qualifying heat, meaning that the young Dane is going to have to danger his way up the field a little bit later on in the pre-final. Yellow flag at turn 4. And that is for somebody who I can't quite make out. who is stationary at the moment. I think that might be 214 Nathan Le Cureau, and is stuck on the outside of the circuit. Yes, it is. Nathan Le Cureau from France and the 214. And that is the driver for SF Automatech. Karts has been pulled away. Driver now out of the session. So we have the following retirements. Finn Albert Jorgensen, Charlie Kitely, Justin Fonk, Didier Dedalia, Bruce Ramboa and Nathan Le Cureau. That brings us down to 26 drivers. Lionel Munguia is at the back of the field in the number 209 Redeka Kart Racing Team entry. Kai Clark continues to lead the way here in the qualifying heat by just over 1 second. We'll make that now 8 tenths as a certain Finley Lines. And oh dear, that is not what you want to see. Two very heavily damaged karts. So the recovery truck will have a couple of trips, I would imagine, if some drivers are not in the pit lane. But now, that's Albie Friend. He got through on teammate Radez Pascu. Now has got through for second on Finley Lines, heading into Chemin de Fer at turn 6. So Albie Friend doing exactly what he can to try and close that gap. Right, a member of the medical team is going over to check on a driver, and I would imagine that's probably going to be Bruce Ramboa. Finley Lines retakes second through at turn 1 with the greatest of ease on Albert Friend. He tries to get back at him through at turn 2, and here comes Luan Seidel, the youngster from Switzerland, and there is Finn Albert Jorgensen with the Batman logo on the back of his race helmet. And new fastest lap, Riley Morrow from Sam Pollitt Racing, up from 18th on the grid, and he's followed by teammate Louis Radcliffe. Radcliffe has had a storming qualifying heat so far. Up from 27th, now runs P8. But we're going to have 2 more laps to go. And at this point, Kai Clark is leading comfortably. The gap after 8 laps is now 7 tenths. So Lines has closed that gap. Kian Bernard. Oh, was that a cheeky little move around the outside of Luan Seidel? I think that was. And Kian Bernard now up into P4. Great work by the 282 from Sam Pollitt Racing, who qualified 8th. Timer has now hit 0 as our leaders are making their way to turn 6 to Chemin de Fer. But what is the penultimate time here on lap 8 out of 9? Albert Friend running a little bit wider out of Chemin de Fer in comparison with the other competitors around him, be they in front or behind him in the 219 Lando Norris chassis. Lando being the 2025 FIA Formula 1 World Champion. And has got big links with the team out of Wilton Mill. Final lap is underway, and now the struggle starts. So you've got Albert Friend, P3. Finley Lines has got that gap down to what was 9 tenths of a second 2 laps ago, and he's got it down to under 4 tenths into turn 4 for the last time. And when they go halfway through Escargot, that's the timing beam for sector number 2. Finley Lines has now got that gap down to just under 3.5 tenths, and it could be the run to the line for the victory. But at the moment, Kai Clark does have a seminal advantage as Albert Friend goes defensive. Kian Bernard with the crossover. He might get the run up the hill. Kai Clark wins the qualifying heat. Second, Finley Lines. Third goes the way of Kian Bernard with a drag race to the line, finishing 64 thousandths ahead of Albert Friend. Luan Seidel 16 thousandths back in 5th. Louis Radcliffe makes up 21 positions to finish 6th. That is a monumental effort by the 227 Riley Morrow up 11 spots from the outside of row number 9 to finish 7th. Raris Pascu, Lieke van Berkel and Tran van Melk round out your top 10. Harry Taylor up 9 spots to finish 11th as he rounded out the top 20 at the start. Loris Perron-Mousset, Klaus Hans, Lucien Smith, Sebastian Clark, Leon Herbos, Max Bogstal, Augustin Hanik, Jensen Chock and Matthias Verreken round out the top 20. Yannis Courage, Anton Hauschel Christensen, Georges Desmay, Thibaut Mercier, Lionel Munguia, Jelan Vandenberger were the last of the classified runners and riders in that particular exchange. Nathan Lequiro, Bruce Rambert, Didier Dedale, Justin Ponk, Charlie Kitely and Finn Albert Jorgensen were your confirmed retirees. Next up, in just a couple of moments' time, we'll be getting underway with our final qualifying session of the weekend, and that will be qualifying heats of the weekend, and that will be with Senior Rotax after our clear-up as we go through the highlights for Junior Rotax, the qualifying heats here on Sunday. So, another qualifying heat. It's the last one of the weekend, and we turn our attention to Senior Rotax. As I said earlier here at the circuit, the apple cart has been truly upset because some of the big players, Macaulay Bishop, 20th, last year's runner-up Tom Lenoir starts 26th, Boris Maximov starts 27th, Boris Verhaag took pole, and then you've got the likes of Sverre Ubben, Thijs van Wijk, Elisa Soljamani, Ryan Bourguignon having a better qualifying session this time around. There's Arnaud Sabarin from Canada in the number 304, due to start from 28th on the grid, as we've got 30 drivers in total. And we're just waiting for the all clear for the track to be declared clean and clear of any carts or any drivers. And then once that call is made, then there'll be the respective flags and lights to indicate to the drivers to make their way out onto the circuit here at Marienborg. So let's take you through the starting grid for the qualifying heat here on Sunday for Senior Rotax. Boris Verhaag starts on pole position. Sverre Ubben alongside on the front row. Rafael Moreau and Vic van Kampenhout round out row 2. Thijs van Wijk joined by Elisa Stolchamani on the third row. Ryan Bourguignon and Kenneth van Mokerke row 4. Koen Willems and Leon van Hekke round out your top 10. Bo Algris joined by Hjalte Risgaard from Denmark on the next row. Ahead of Vince van der Hallen, Bram van der Weyken, Harry Freeman, Antoine Lemieux, Bastien Mesnil. And then we've also got the likes of Max Siderski, Louis Oliver Günther from Germany, Macaulay Bishop starting 20th. Ahead of Lars Lambers, Lado Kohanidze, Lucas Dorder, Tino Sidler, Charlie King, Tom Longnoir, Boaz Maximov, Arnaud Sabahin, Hugo Gaston and Priam Lelang bringing up the rear of the field. So the drivers now getting themselves focused on the task at hand, which is the race start. 7 minutes plus an additional lap on the timer for these 30 drivers. All 30 due to take the starts. Everyone has exited out of the dummy grid and now are making their way through to the final complex through sector 3, which starts just on the halfway point of the escargot section. Verhaag and Ubben on the front row of the grid as we are set and ready as the red lights are on the gantry. This could be an interesting one with some of the top players in the series towards the second half of the field. So, here we go for 7 minutes. It's time to get the revs up. Lights go to green straight away. And all of a sudden, well, Sverre Ubben... right, we've been given the full start. So, second full start in a row. So, they're sending them around for another lap. So, it's control, out, delete. Field now makes its way back through into the relevant positions. Rafael Moreau in the number 326 starts on the inside of row number 2. So could have the advantage on Sverre Ubben heading into that first corner. Pole position on the circuit is on the right hand side. It can also be at the discretion of the driver on pole. They might want to swap sides sometimes, and that can be the case, but at this moment Boris Verhaag will start on the traditional side of where pole position is located. So the drivers now coming through the last part of sector number 3 as we are set once again to hopefully, for the second time of asking, go to green here at Marienborg for the last qualifying heats of the second round of the season here in the Corvin region of Belgium. Oh, and there's problems, right. That is Rafael Moreau, who I've just seen pull to the right-hand side. There's going to be a gap there. We go revs up, lights on. Do we go green? Yes, we're underway. And now it means that Sverre Ubben able to pull across the front of Vic van Kampenhout as they go in. Oh, and there's dramas for Max Siderski as well. What's going on here? Moreau is pushing the cart out of the way. Max Siderski Now, is there an issue? Oh, the engine was firing, but did the throttle cable have a problem? The 397 from the Netherlands also strikes trouble. But at the moment, it is Boris Verhaag leading the way. Second is Sverre Ubben. Third is Vic van Kampenhout. Fourth is Thijs van Wijk as they head through into Escargot for the first time. And it's only a recent addition to the SP Motorsport team is Vic van Kampenhout, the youngster from Belgium. Previous years, I still remember when he ran on a Formula K back in the day, in his early days as a mini and a junior driver. Then switched to Pantano for seniors, but he's been closed on in by Thijs van Wijk, who dives to the inside at turn 1 on lap 2. Van Wijk in the 369 now takes third position, away from the 324 from Belgium. But Sverre Ubben looks for the move to the inside for the race lead on Boris Verhaag and gets through. Verhaag loses the lead to the Belgian from GKS. 3 wide into turn 4. Who was that diving to the inside? It was Bastien Mesnil from France. And I think in that exchange, I think Bran van der Weken and Harry Freeman got caught out, and Mesnil got the buy one, get one free offer at turn 4 with millimetres to spare. And at the moment, well, Hugo Casto up 10 places, Boris Maximov up 10 places, Macaulay Bishop, well, actually Boris Maximov now is sitting in 13th position. He's up 14 spots. Macaulay Bishop on the move has only made 4 places so far. He's currently up to 16th. But Bastien Mesnil with one of the overtakes of the weekend, 3 wide into turn 4, and this 361 from Dams Racing made it work. As Verhaag trying to get through at Chemin de Fer. Van Kampenhout keeping him very, very honest in the 324 entry. And Bastien Mesnil has made up effectively 10 places. But now Mesnil has dropped down into 11th position. Maximov, King and Bishop now round out the top 14. Lap 3 completed. Van Wijk to the inside of Ubben, through at turn 1. New race leader on lap 4. Air temperature now starting to increase. We're up to 12 degrees centigrade as Kenneth van Moerkerke in the number 330 is now up to P6. Now he's going to dive to the inside. Oh, that's a beautiful last gasp move by Kenneth van Moerkerke coming out of Chemin de Fer, heading into the chicane that leads into Escargot. And Van Moerkerke, running under the Dan Holland Racing banner, it seems, did a very, very cheeky little move on the 324. And Elisa Stolcemani, younger sister of Thomas Stolcemanis, now coming over from her native country of Latvia, now running with GKS, and she is one to keep an eye on. Tino Sidler from Switzerland just puts in the fastest lap of the race, 54.668 for the 310 for KR Sport. As now the lead has changed again to the form of Sverre Ubben. We have just over 2.5 minutes to go. And can Van Wijk get through on Ubben? Up the hill we go to complete lap number 5. Ubben defends into turn 1, not allowing the crossover between him and Thijs van Wijk. Van Wijk, however, decides now's the time to launch it up the inside through at turn 2. And Boris Verhaag gets through at the same point. Bran van der Weken, who's tumbled down to 19th in the order, has just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 54.655. Went purple in the middle sector. Tino Sidler going the fastest of anybody in the race so far. down in P15. He's up 9 spots, as is Charlie King, as is Tom Langlois. Hugo Castor up 11 spots from 29th on the grid. But still, this battle for what is now the race lead has really become a long conga line at the moment. So Thijs van Wijk leads, head of Boris Verhaag, Sverre Ubben and Elisa Stolchamani, Kenneth van Wilkerke, Vic van Kampenhout. Tino Sidler sets the fastest opening sector of the lap here at Karting Dauphiné, 17.64. And still, the musical chairs game plays out so well in senior Rotax, as long as they're close but not too close to the cars in front. And it's all about using your know-how, your savoir-faire, your using the grey matter upstairs. And that's what's quite crucial, because in karting you've got to react on the fly. But when it's a 7-minute plus an additional lap sprint, effectively a qualifying heat, or as I would like to call it, maybe a sprint, but the timer has expired. We have got this little bit plus one more lap to go. The timer has expired. So it has been a very, very closely fought affair. Boris Maximov now up 15 spots from 27th and now runs 12th behind Macaulay Bishop, who in his own right started down in 20th, now up to 9th. But now, again, the battle lines are really being drawn. All bit of contact between Sverre Ubben and Thijs van Wijk. That allows Boris Verhaag to get through. And right behind them is going to be Vince van der Halle. Up the hill for the final time. And taking the checker flag on the road is going to be the GKS kart. And Sverre Ubben, head of Boris Verhaag. Thijs van Wijk, Vince van der Halle. So behind Freeman there's Kenneth van Wilkerke, Lisa Stolchamani, Bastien Mesnil, Koen Willems, Macaulay Bishop, Tino Sidler. So Ubben takes the win ahead of Verhaag, Van Wijk, Van der Halle, Freeman, Van Wilkerke, Stolchamani, Mesnil, Koen Willems, and Macaulay Bishop rounding out the top 10. So there we are, results for the session. And from the top 10 downwards, Sidler, Langlois, Van der Weyken, Maximov, Lambers, Bourguignon, King, Castor, Stauder, Kohanice, Lemieux, Van Kampenhout finishes 22nd, ahead of Priam Lelang, Arnold Sabarin, Louis Oliver Gunther, Bo Arichs, Hjalde Riskard, Liam von Hecker, with Raphael Moreau and Max Sadurski not taking the start. Well, what an exciting set of qualifying heats for this morning's action here for day 2, round 2 of the BNL Karting Series season here at Karting Raceway in Marienburg in Belgium. Well, we've just hit 12 degrees centigrade. The sun is shining from the partially blue skies up above. But there's still more action. We still have the pre-finals and the finals to take us halfway through the 2026 season as we continue the path to the grand finals in Portimao in the second week of November. Well, we're going to go to the lunch break now, so don't forget, tune in to us a little bit later on here on the BNL Karting Series YouTube channel. This has been a WFR live TV production, and we'll see you just before 1:15 local time for the pre-finals here in Marienburg.